We're waiting for that live stream. It's preparing. Hang tight. All right, it looks like we are live, ready to rock and roll. Well, thank you all for joining me. I'm really excited for our Leadership Skills Grow with ABWA leadership panel. And I would like to introduce you to our panelists today. We'll start with Fran. If you'll introduce yourself and where you're from, your league, information about you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Frances Nicholson Bovee. I live in Oklahoma City or Yukon. I'm with the ABWA chapter. I've been with them since 2007. I am currently the chapter president once again. I have been all the way up through the ambassadors to the steering committee, the chair, and that's kind of it. I mean, as far as ABWA.
All right. Up next, Debbie Holiday.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Debbie Holiday. I am from Bryan, Texas. I am a dual member. My primary is the Bryan College Station Charter Chapter. I was the 2015-16 District 2 Vice President. I had the honor of doing our steering committee, co-chair and then chair. And then I have a business that's Holiday & Associates. We're a tax and accounting firm. So thank you for asking us today, Kella. Thank you for letting us be here.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to move on to Laura.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and those watching on replay. Kella, thanks for getting us all together. I'm Laura Morlando, the Stress Commando, and I help businesses and professionals work stress-free, network stress-free, and look stress-free. I've been an ABWA member. I will be celebrating 21 years this year. I have served at all of the local levels. I was one of the founding members of the First Express Network in the Dallas area. I was their first president, and I've had the pleasure of serving on the national board as District 2 Vice President. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Laura. And last but not least, Charlotte Osborne.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm from Oklahoma City, a almost 29-year member of ABWA chapter. I am the area council chair. I am the chair-elect of the steering committee. I am membership chair for ABWA chapter, and I'm an accountant. And in my spare time, I'm just so glad to be here. This is going to be really good and a lot of fun. It's good to see everybody.
Thank you, Charlotte, for your time. What is it that you don't do is what I should have asked you. All right. So I'm really excited for this particular leadership panel for us today. We have a great group of women who have been leaders in ABWA for some time that are going to answer a lot of your questions about what leadership looks like in ABWA and why should I volunteer for additional service and what they've really gotten out of it. So we're going to rotate through the questions and the ladies know kind of what order that they are going to answer in. As we move into thinking about the National Board of Directors, we want to approach this as something that you would plan on doing for that 3-year commitment. So if you're considering running for the District 2 Vice President candidacy, planning on continuing on, because I think as I've been in this role, learning that really to leave a legacy and make a lasting imprint and make changes in the association and really give back, it's great to be able to plan out that you would continue your leadership journey. Being prepared to be on the board and being part of a group of 9 women who are that not being part of a large league is not required. So you don't have to be a member of a league that has 100 members to be successful on the national board. And these are some things that I talked to Renee about, and so she wanted to make sure I emphasize those to you all. I also wanted to mention that the National Board of Directors isn't the only type of leadership beyond the national board that you can serve in. There's other capacities that you can serve in as a volunteer. And one of those is the ambassadors. And this is a program and not a formal leadership position with ABWA, but all of the ladies who are on our panel are ambassadors because they have served on the national board, as well as some of them have been in a recognition program as top 10s. This is another great way to give back to the association, and I'm sure some of the ladies will talk about that as well. There is an ambassador document that I will post in the chat for you that the ambassador program created a document for the National Board of Directors of what's involved in service, and I'm going to share that as we go through our program. But let's get started with our panelists and talking about how did you grow in your service? Starting with our first panelist, Charlotte.
Well, when I joined ABWA, I joined for one main reason. And the reason was that I had a fear of speaking in front of my peers. So when I got into ABWA as a DVP, even running for office, I learned I had to get over that. And the longer I was in, the better I got at it. And I could get my point across without looking like an idiot. And it was a tremendous growth for me because I'm a very outgoing person. And for me to be scared of doing anything was not in my realm. So I have to attribute being able to speak in front of, I don't care how many people, to my being on ABWA and being on the national board.
Mine's a little bit different. I joined ABWA because for the networking component, I wanted to have that high. So when we had our ABWA meeting, I knew that Wednesday was my meeting. So Monday and Tuesday, I was, going up to get to that meeting, was so excited. And then Thursday and Friday, I was just still continue on because it was so good to get with all the other ladies and gentlemen and just to continue to learn, but to network. And then how did I grow during my service? Well, my goodness. Some of us take more than 1 year to run, and it takes sometimes 3 and 4 years before you finally get to be a District 2 Vice President. So that was a lot of my growth, is just that part right there. The other one was your confidence level grows. No offense, but it's continuing about you, but that your growth is there, personal, professional, but also the people that are in your league, you are representing them. So it's not only you, they all are there. They're on that journey with you. So it's a continuous event.
I think for me, it starts with asking, why do I want to run and what's the skill that I want to learn? And one of the things that I've learned with ABWA, and Debbie just said it so beautifully, and Charlotte as well, it's really leveraging the mission statement. How do you want to grow personally and professionally? What's the skill? What's the game changer that you need to gain by participating in this leadership opportunity? And though this is service, and though, yes, it's a volunteer position, it is truly the fullest manifestation of the mission statement, where it says leadership opportunities. It's one of the tenets. And so when you volunteer for the leadership position, it's an opportunity to gain a skill. So like the public speaking that Charlotte talked about, that you want to learn in a safe space. And so for me, as I moved up from the local level, and I don't know that I actually said my league, the Outlook Positive Express Network, so shout out to Open. But as I started out with my league, I was trying to think, okay, what do I need to learn, as I did every single position that I've ever held? And at the national board level, when I thought about it and really contemplated, I was like, what's the thing that I really need to learn? And what I need to learn was to be able to ask for self. I'm great at selling things for other people. But when it comes to selling myself or asking for myself, I wasn't as confident doing that. So I thought, okay, here I am running for the national board. I'm going to have to get good asking for dollars and a vote. I'm going to have to ask for self. Okay, that's what I'm going to learn. How do I gain my confidence in self and move forward through this journey? And when you approach it, or when I've approached it that way, or anyone else that I've mentored, you recognize that you will gain that skill regardless of whether or not you obtain the position you're running for. And so that's the gift that can happen in ABWA. So that's what I gained through this service, was this undeniable confidence and this ability to really look at things from a different perspective of what I could become and the you that you could become by going through that journey.
Well, Laura, I kind of have to feed off of you, because the confidence level, when I first started running, my very first speech for District 2 Vice President was from the back of the room to the front of the room. And I was the person that was in the back of the room. I wanted to be in the front, but I didn't know how to get there. So running for an office made me move, made me go from the back of the room to the front of the room. It did boost my confidence level. And it helped me in so many other ways, just not only within my league, but just with the people that I've met within my job. It gave me confidence to move forward to, I taught classes, but it helped me gain that confidence to stand up in front of the people and to teach the classes. And it just, so the confidence level is overwhelming, just to keep you in front of people. I keep using the word confidence, but that's what it is. And once I became on the board, oh my gosh, it just helps you. You know how to speak to people. You know how to, obviously, you know how to treat people, but you know how to help them in their journeys and to help them move from the back of the room to the front of the room. And that's kind of been my goal, is to support people and to help them move forward.
Did we lose?
So
Stand by for just a moment. Our internet connection is unstable, so I'm disconnecting the Facebook Live. I was trying to do the live and the recording, and I don't think there's enough bandwidth. So, all right. Hopefully this will be a little bit better. Hopefully, and there wasn't anything that got cut out or that you could understand everything, my guess. Hopefully that was okay. Thank you, everyone. I really loved what I heard from all of our panelists in terms of the different leadership skills that each person obtained from the same exact journey. The journey is different, but the way that they benefited from their journey was different based on what they were trying to get out of it. And I loved what Laura said about, it wasn't about whether or not you win or lose, it's what you get out of the experience. So it's not necessarily about obtaining the title, it's about the journey and the growth that you have as you're going through the process. So thanks for sharing all of those great nuggets. The next question. How did you know you were ready?
Ready? You're never ready. You are never ready. You are always continuing to grow. You are always trying to better yourself, to do better for everybody that's involved. But it's a desire. Do you have the desire to run? Do you have the desire to lead and to make our organization better? That's all I got. I'm never ready. I'm still continuing to learn.
I'm just laughing hysterically at that question. And Debbie's right. You're never ready. I'll never forget when someone approached me. Well, let me back up. So I told you that I was the president. I was the first president of our Express Network League. And so I'm doing something that's never been done before. Nobody knew what Express Networks were in the Dallas area. And okay, oh my gosh. And so somebody approached me and said, you really need to consider running for District 2 Vice President. You need to run for the national board. I was such a new member. I didn't know what that meant. And of course I didn't, I already just shared, I didn't necessarily believe myself. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Thank you. And I just kind of moved on. Like, I thought that was just a nice, polite platitude. And then I moved on. And then I would ascend to other positions and I would hear it again and again. And I would just kind of, oh, thank you, move on. And so when someone got on my shoulders and said, no, you're running, you have to run. Now, let me explain. This was not weeks of a difference. We're talking over the course of probably a 10-year difference in my journey from when I first heard it to when the person finally put their arms on my shoulder and said, no, you're running. I wasn't ready to run. I was like, wait, how do we do this? And I got all into the weeds of I'm not ready and I'm not worthy and how do we do this as a league? And I could tell you all the reasons why it couldn't happen, all the reasons why it shouldn't happen. But the one question I couldn't answer is why it needed to happen. And so when I sat back and I just said, you know what, this is a gift. I need to receive it. I need to be open to receiving this and really listen to it. I can't dismiss this as a platitude. This is real. And just kind of leaned into it, sweaty palms and all. I just said yes, scared and not knowing how the heck it was going to be done. Because surely for an association as old as this one is, if this was a bad idea, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. And everyone that had come before me was hugely successful and raved on what it was a great experience. So all the ways I thought this was wrong and wasn't right for me and I wasn't ready for, surely I don't know what I don't know. I need to trust the process, trust the people that went before me, and just do it scared and just wipe the sweat off my clammy hands and just, look like the duck underwater, just calm the nerves. And maybe underwater I'm doing this, but just smile and nod and just say yes. That's what I decided to do. So if you're thinking about it, or if you're, watching live or on replay and you're thinking about this and you're thinking, I'm not ready, you're not ever going to be ready. And if you're sitting there going, well, I am ready, fantastic, do it anyway. I think everyone's journey, as you saw, is going to be different, but no, I wasn't ready. That's my experience.
So as far as my journey and starting off, Laura, it was kind of like this. I'd gone to the conference. I was on we used to have what we call the auction committee, where at conferences where you had the purse auction and the 50/50s and all that. So I was asked to be on that. I worked it. It was fun. I got to meet people and you can see the big picture, if you're involved in these different committees. And we were coming home, driving home, and I was with, a few people, Deb and Tammy, and we stopped and they said, so Frances, you gonna run this next year? I went, what? I've only been, I really hadn't been in the association that long, but I could see that I wanted to go further within the association. So, it's my journey is a little bit different from Laura's. She was scared. I really wasn't scared, but I don't know that I knew enough to not know enough, kind of like what you're saying. But it was just one of those things that I could see it. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be able to be in front of people to try to help them, as I said earlier, to help them move from the back of the room to the front of the room. So it was just, I think in my time of my life, you have to look at all the aspects when you're ready, not just with ABWA, but your whole life, and make it happen. And you just have to, I guess, as I said in my speech, jump in with all fours and do it. Just cannonball and do it. And you won't regret it. Just the experience, sometimes it takes us more than just one time to run, which is kind of what happened to me also. Took me 3 times, but every time I ran, I learned something more. And again, the confidence level, and you just learn so much more by getting out there. And if you don't win, like I said, the experience is something that you won't ever forget.
Yeah, you talk about that, Franny, and that's true. And I have thought about it several times, and it was kind of in the back of my mind, but not foremost in the back of my mind until we had a conference in Oklahoma City in 2004. And Tina and Lena cornered me and said to me, when are you going to run for office? And you know how you just kind of say, oh yeah, one of these days I'll do it and all that stuff. Well, that stuck in the back of my mind until I finally realized that I'm the kind of person who I am not content to stay at a lower level. I want to move up. And that's always been my way with where I worked. You know, I want to move up. I want to move forward. I want to grow. If you're not moving, you're dead. You might as well forget it. And so when I decided to run, I was terrified. I have to admit it, believe it or not, and I don't terrify easily. And I was terrified because I had to speak in front of people. My first 3-minute speech, my knees were knocking so hard, I'm surprised they couldn't hear me. But we got through it. I learned, and I was like Franny, I had to run twice to win it. But when I did, I could have walked on water. I was so thrilled. But it's a fantastic experience, and I'd recommend it to anybody. The confidence you get from that, even if you're a very confident person anyway, what you learn in your confident self when you're running for office or on the national board is just way above anything you'll ever dream of. It's a wonderful thing. I recommend it to anybody.
I love all of the great feedback from our panelists. Laura mentioned that she kind of dismissed people when they said, oh, you should run for national office. And there's probably some people maybe watching on this call that have done the same thing to me in the last couple of weeks. When I said, hey, have you ever thought about running for national office? They kind of dismissed it. But I really think that sometimes people see us differently than we see ourselves, and they really see potential and value and skill sets maybe that you don't perceive in yourself. And it takes someone giving you that nudge forward to really take that leap of faith. Like Fran said, that cannonball. My kids jumped in the pool January 1st and it was cold, but they did it without thinking too much hesitation. You got to just kind of jump in. And I love how Charlotte said, you know, I'll do it one of these days. And if that's in the back of your mind, we are working on helping you gain the confidence and the skills that you need to feel prepared, even though you can never feel prepared. Like some of the ladies on the panel said, you're not necessarily going to feel like you're ready to run. We're trying to build a leadership skills development cohort here in District 2 that will help provide you a sounding board and a group of other women who are interested in leading ABWA into the next decade. And we'll be starting some of that in March, more to follow on that. But I think, you know, even if you're not ready, there's really only 2 things that you need to have in terms of things that are really important to jump in with both feet. The first is a servant heart, because this is a volunteer position. And the second is just to believe in the mission of ABWA and what we stand for as an organization. If you have those 2 things, even if you don't feel like you have some of the other skill sets that might be beneficial as a leader, those are things that are coachable and trainable and things that you practice as a servant leader. But those 2 things, having a servant heart and wanting to serve and give back and believing in the mission, are really helpful in this journey. My next question to our panel is, how did you prepare? Either how did you prepare to decide to run for district vice president, or how you prepared to actually go through the journey during those couple months. I think Fran is up first.
Well, how did I prepare? First of all, you really have to think about what it's going to entail. You need to really, the very first thing you need to do is, do I have the time that I want to spend on this, you know, for your journey? Do I have the time with my family? Will my family allow it? Because it is a commitment, and it is, as we're going to talk about later, how long is a commitment? It's at least a 3-year commitment. Will your family support you? And then the next thing is you're going to really need to go to your league, whether you have a small league or a big league, but they have to be behind you because they have a commitment also. And are they prepared to do that? Are they prepared to support you monetarily? Not necessarily out of their bank account, but help you with fundraisers, and are they prepared to support you both mentally and physically? In other words, will they travel with you? Will they help you? Will they support you? Will they, go to conference? Will they go to all these other different meetings, travel with you? So that's very important. And I believe that you need to have that support. And not necessarily, you can have it from your league, but there's so many other leagues that can support you if they didn't have somebody as a candidate. But we're all in this together. It's all about mentally preparing, and you need to have some type of, not out of your own pocket, but you need to have a financial support, like I said, either by fundraisers or from your league. So that's kind of my mental thing, is that, do I have time to take off work? Will I have to take off work? How long will I go? How much traveling will I do? And for me, I was ready to do it all. I was very fortunate. I've been with the company for almost, say 40 years or whatever at the time. And I had vacation time that I could use. Younger people who are running don't have that type of time. I had 6 weeks that I could use. Nowadays, people only have maybe 2 weeks of vacation, if that. If you're self-employed, that's something else you really need to think about. Can I afford to be away from my job? So, you just kind of have to sit and look at all aspects, but don't just ponder on it by yourself. Talk to other people, talk to the ones who have ran, do one-on-ones, talk with your leadership in your chapter, talk with your members and your family. So that's kind of where I was. I just kind of have to sit back and look at the big picture.
Well, I think, yeah, exactly what Franny said, because one thing I was really thrilled about the first time I ran, and even the second time, there was four of us running, and we ran as a group. We were not competing against each other. We were competing, we were together. We were the group, we were a group running. We were not just one single person. And that's what made it exciting, because I'm not gonna lie to you. If you've never done it, it's a little scary. It really is. But when you've got that companionship and that camaraderie with your running mates, which all of us have had, it just makes it so much easier. And I was lucky because I have been self-employed for quite a while. And so I'm my own boss. And I had clients that were very, very behind me, and they knew what I wanted to do. So they worked around my having to travel. So I was lucky in that point, but you got to be prepared with financial backing, your family. I told them, I didn't ask them. And, but your family's got to be behind you, because, especially if you have small children, or if you have a husband, which my husband had passed away by then. So, just like Franny said, there's something you have to go through, but it's all wonderful.
Gonna echo everybody else. It's about talking with your family. They are going to help you make that most decision, because you're the one that they support the most. But it's also your friends. It's the one that's going to run with you, that's going to go to these events. They're going to stop at Buc-ee's on the way. We're going to do all of this because it's all part of this. My associates here at the office, they had to have that, because for me to come in a couple days and work and leave and come back in again, it was hard for them, but I had their support. So your support system is everyone. And it's even the ambassadors from other districts. It's other people that have served. They're all you're shouting. They are here for you to help you support. But the most part, get out there and do what you love to do. Make a difference. Every one of you can do that.
I definitely agree with what everybody is saying. And I think I'm going to take it even back a step. They're all right. Everyone's right. I just want to underline everyone's right. But I'm going to take it a step back because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of where I was and where maybe you're watching right now. You don't need to think about anybody else yet. There are two things that need to happen. You have to decide to do it, and then you've got to do the work. And the third piece, once you've decided and you're willing to do the work, because those are the only two things you can do. None of us here can do those things for you. We can't decide for you, and we can't do the work. Those are the things you have to do. But what makes this the easier journey, and that's that third step that talks about what everyone was talking about, is you have to be coachable. And I believe as a leader, you have to be coachable. So you're gonna have to reach out to your family. Okay, now let's do the things. How do we get the finances? How do we get to this? You have to set ego aside. This is not a popularity contest. This is not a political contest. I mean, as Charlotte said about, you're running with people. This is a very different experience. And so, I had the pleasure, and Fran and I were smiling, there were 5 of us that ran for DVP. And so we all ran together, and it was a beautiful experience. And I wish everyone would have it. I think everyone deserves to have it. If you're a member of this association, you owe it to yourself to do this. So just decide to do the work, decide and then do the work and be coachable, and then say, okay, now what do I need to do to make this happen, to make this work? And that's where you start checking off the box. Let me talk to my family. Let me talk to other people. Just keep moving forward. And I'll leave you with this. When I served at the local level, and those that I've talked to, I say, when did I know how to be president of the Express Network? When I was done with my 2-year term. When did I know how to be the chair of the council? When I was done with my term as council chair. When did I know how to do any position I've held? At the end of the position. How did I know to be DVP? At the end of being DVP. So don't think you have to know how to do those things. Just recognize there's going to be people there, and be coachable and open to the feedback. All you have to do is be willing to do the work that they advise you to do. And it's a great experience because every single person is cheering you on to your success. That's the mission. So just decide and move forward.
Such great feedback. I love the statement, we are in this together, because it is truly a team effort. In the last year, when I was campaigning for District 2 Vice President, I got to know some of my board sisters and some of my league members even better in the process of doing visits and traveling and going to National Women's Leadership Conference together. But definitely having that support system is so important. I love Charlotte. Just tell your husband you're going to do it. That's kind of the approach I take. But truth be told, he is super supportive. But I do think it does warrant a conversation with your family to get their support. And because it does take away, you can't be everywhere and be everything to everybody. So when you're spending time, like I'm on this call tonight, as all of you who are here on my panel, you're taking away from probably family time or relaxation time. There's choices, right? And so you have to have the support of your family. If you're taking away from the family bucket for the ABWA bucket, and the same thing goes for your work. I'm blessed to be an entrepreneur, so I don't have to ask anybody if I'm going to take off work. But those of you who work for someone else, having that conversation, that plan in place, because there is some travel when you go to different league meetings and conferences and whatnot. And if you have questions, of course, you have the support network of your league, but certainly I'm sure anyone on the panel is willing to answer questions for you. Anyone who has served on the National Board of Directors. I see Laura going, me. But also I'm willing to sit down and have a Zoom call and a coffee with anyone who is interested in talking more about my experience and what's involved and the process of how to go about putting in your application or preparing for future service on the National Board of Directors. That being said, what are some skills that are important to have when you're on the board? I think Charlotte's first.
Well, of course, leadership skills. And that's why I like the specification that said you have to be a member for 2 years to run for office on the board. And in that 2-year time, hopefully you have learned leadership skills. And so a lot of people come into this organization with excellent leadership skills, but you've got to have leadership skills. And then you need to have some knowledge about ABWA itself. And of course, that's so easy to get. Thanks to all of our conferences, and thanks to getting on our courses and getting on the website. There's so many things, so many ways to learn about ABWA. But I'll tell you this, when I got on the national board, I learned more about ABWA than I ever thought I would know. The inner workings of ABWA when you're on the national board just literally just blows you away. It just makes you feel like you're a part of something a whole lot bigger than yourself. So you just hone your leadership skills and learn about this association, and that'll take care of it.
What skills do you need? Oh my goodness. Independent and teamwork, communications, financial, time management, leadership skills, strategic thinking, decision making, being coachable or have someone to coach you, and to have heart. But most important is to bring your talents to the table so that they can all be shared, because that team works wonderful when they work together.
So yes, ditto everything that's being said. So trying to kind of capture what you would need is you need to realize this is like running a C-suite, because this is a national board. So at the C-suite level, there's a variety of skills that you need to have. But in addition to all of the ones that I've mentioned, I think the one that you can bring to the table is an intention to actively listen to your other board members, to actively listen to Renee and the corporate office, to actively listen to the members. Because to use the word that Kella said, it's service. You're serving the national board, and you're going to learn how to, remember I said, set your ego aside and really think about, how do we problem solve? How do we critical think? How do we think outside the box? You're going to be talking about, you're going to have marketing, and how do I position this and announce this to the association? You're going to learn how to work remotely. You're going to learn how to do things that you might not have needed to do before if you've been in an office and never had to leave. Okay, well, now I have to learn how to do things remotely. So there's a lot of things that you're going to learn that you don't even know you're going to learn. So do you need to have those skills to come onto the board? No, just be open to learning them. Being coachable is what you need to do, but have that active listening to really listen to what somebody is saying, understand their position on an issue so that you can move forward and, like Debbie said, work as a team so that you can really grow this association and then walk away with some enhanced skills and a new confidence inside of you. So that would be what I would share.
Well, I would have to agree with everything that's being said. You know, the one main thing that I guess would be my takeaway from this and to share would be, it's, again, it was said, it's not about you. It's not about your league. You're looking at the whole association. So your ideas, you may bring good ideas to the table, but you have to be open to what other people's views are. I know some people said, well, when I get on the board, you know, I'm going to make all these changes and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then when you get there and you're sitting in that board room in your very first meeting on the national board, boy, you get a little slap in the face, because that's not what's going to happen. You have to be able, as we've said, work together, work as a team, and it's about the whole association and how you as a team can better the association and make it the best association there is. And the listening, you've got to be able to sit back and take it all in and listen what everybody's saying. And sometimes you may agree to disagree, but it all works out. It all comes out and you'll do great things being on the board. Every board has done something fantastic, and we've made changes, and it just trickles down. But the main thing is, it's not about you. It's not about your league, but it's about the association and how we can make it better.
Everyone had some great tips and tools about what skill sets, but it comes down to bringing your talents to the table and being able to work with your team cohesively. And you're going to pick up and learn on skills and really strengthen some of your weaknesses. And I love that my board, there's no person that is exactly the same as someone else. We all have different strengths, and we all have different areas that we could work on or improve upon. And so we really complement each other. And so where someone, maybe it's not one of their strong suits, they can learn from someone else. So it's a learning, collaborative environment, which I think is amazing. So my next question is, after you served on the national board, time has passed since then. How has that experience benefited your life since then? Starting with Debbie this time.
I am going to tell you that ABWA has made a huge impact on my life. After serving on the national board, it just means I don't get to sit at the front of the table anymore. I'm still doing all the things that I was doing before, just now not with the District 2 Vice President title. How does it make a difference? I continue to serve my leagues. I continue to serve my council outside, but now I don't have to stay in District 2. I get to go across the nation. I'm not limited to just District 2 area. But you will see me out still mentoring. I install officers. I still do the things that I'm supposed to do, living the mission. And that's what's so important to me.
So immediately after coming off the board, the confidence that it gave me permission to give myself permission to believe in myself, to just move forward on some of these ideas. And so just everything just kind of exploded after that. And Kelly, you touched on this, the camaraderie of your board sisters. That's a priceless experience that nobody can explain to you until you experience it. It's unlike no other. It truly is. And I would highly, highly recommend that you just, like I said, you owe it to yourself to do that. But in the years since I've been on the board, those relationships were amazing. The skills that I learned, the awareness that I had, the level up in my thinking, the exposure I had to other people to level up my skill set has served in so many different ways. So fast forward to 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with autoimmune and Lyme disease and had to pivot my entire business online. The only way that I can have access to the outside world is right here, thanks to Zoom. Every single skill I learned on the national board to work remotely, I 100% have to rely on now. And one of the skills that was the hardest for me to learn on the national board, which was to do a speech timed in script. I'm more of a bullet person kind of speaker. I was nervous as all get out to get the speeches wrong because of the script writing that I had to do. This was not a skill that was natural to me. And so how do you do that script writing? Fast forward to now. I no longer have the ability to do the speaking without notes or without a script. I had no choice but to do it. And even then, I will lose the ability to read my own script cognitively. It's not as bad now, but early on it was. So when the lights would go out because I was so nervous on the national board and I couldn't see my notes anymore, I knew I did it then. I can do it here when I'm live on Facebook and I can't read my notes. And this is my job, or when I'm doing a workshop on Zoom for people. And I was able to just rely on the experience. Like, no, I've done this. I can do this again. It's okay. I can do this again. So my point in bringing that up is you have no idea what it's going to benefit. You'll see an immediate benefit, but you're going to see a residual benefit that you can't even predict. I can't even predict. And I'm super excited to see what is yet to come. So I hope that's helpful for someone. It's not just what you serve, it's beyond that. And it will continue to impact you for the rest of your life.
Well, so for me, once I came off the board, I moved on within the Ambassador Association, the steering committee. So, and by being on the board gave me the confidence, as we keep using that word, to do that, to go into being a steering committee co-rep, and then the rep, and then the chair-elect, and then the chair. Oh my gosh, if I hadn't been on the board, I would have never probably even thought about running to be the chair over, all the ambassadors of the whole association. So that just kept me moving and gave me, again, the confidence. And it showed me that I can help people. I can mentor them. And it's also helped me within my chapter to, I continue to be, even though I am the president now, but I continue to go to all the meetings and I mentor them and I help them. And as Debbie and Laura, everybody said, you learn so much just about ABWA and also yourself as to where your limits are and what you can do and not do. And it's just, I guess I just have to say the confidence level. Even jumping off and retiring from my job at Hertz after 43 years, and then being asked to work at my church and running the office. I don't know that I would have ever had the nerve to do that if I hadn't been on the board, because of the confidence level that it's given me. So it just helped me grow and grow and grow within the association and my personal level.
Like I said earlier, the reason I got into the association was to get over the fact that my knees knocked when I tried to speak in front of anybody. I could sing in front of 1,000 people and it never even fazed me. But to speak in front of people just scared me to death. But then being on the board now, after getting off the board, I have to admit, I kind of felt a little lost. And I think we all do. Once we get off the board and you kind of come down from being a part of the association at that level. And so now, and it's built up my confidence to speak in front of anybody. And also what I found myself, it's helped me dealing with my clients. And y'all know, especially if you're self-employed, clients can be a real pain. And I think I have learned how to handle them. I'm Irish Indian and I have a bit of a temper, and I've learned how to curtail that and how to handle. And I know that confidence came from being on the national board. That has totally changed my whole outlook on how to handle people and how to handle my fear of speaking in front of people. And I have done a whole lot more within my association, within my league. And I step up and sometimes do a little bit too much. But like right now, I'm into 3 different areas of ABWA and I'm loving every bit of it. So it's taught me how to handle everything like that.
So the experience on the national board helps us personally and professionally, and sometimes you don't really know where it's going to take you. And certainly all of these ladies remain active in different parts of the association. After serving on the national board of directors, you're an ambassador for the association. What does that role look like?
So the ambassador is the same thing. This is just my viewpoint. The role of ambassador is the same thing the first day you join the association. It's the same thing. When you join this association, you become part of the association. You embody the spirit of the mission statement, you learn about it, and then you share it with everybody else, and you bring everyone else along the way with you. That's what the ambassador role is that you're just agreeing that, like I said earlier, setting your ego aside when you're running for the national board, even the local level, you're like, okay, now I'm done. You guys figure it out on yourselves. I'm out. Mic drop. No. You want to help people and serve people and make sure that, hey, that DVP that's trying to figure it out, how can I be your boots on the ground? How do I support you? And that word support is incredibly intentional and powerful. And through the journey of running and serving on the national board, I recognized what that meant. Support doesn't mean, it can mean anything from liking, or for everyone that's watching this live, you're supporting Kella in this panel. Bravo to you, and thank you for your support. There's so many different ways that you can show support where someone is scared to death to do the thing they're doing. That is one of the things that I learned. So if I can put myself back in somebody else's shoes to answer the question of being an ambassador and seeing somebody that's just, and I can recognize it, takes one to know one. And I'm like, oh, they're dying 1,000 deaths right now. Let me just go cheer them on, giving them applause, smile and nod, give them a friendly view to look at, and then just go shower them with love and just say, I'm so proud of you. Sometimes that's what they need to see, and that's what they need to hear. And if I can model that behavior and keep that encouragement as an ambassador, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to promote ABWA. I'm going to make sure that everyone's aware of it. And I'm going to mentor and help people along the way. Any way I can support the association, that's what I'm going to do. So the role as an ambassador, though there's a program in place, yes, and there's all the things, but what I'd rather suggest is that people adopt the mindset that we're all ambassadors of this association, willing to help each other. So I love that about this association. And it's one of the best parts about when you check the box and say, yeah, I'm an ambassador, but you're doing it anyway.
Well, I would totally have to agree with Laura. As far as an ambassador, really, it's just a label, a title. It doesn't mean that we're any special than anybody else. You do, an ambassador means, as she said, a support. You're a speaker for the association. You help support everybody. I know when I first started to run, and Laura and I were running together, and then after that, she was one of my biggest cheerleaders, as I was of her. And being an ambassador, it's just, like I said, we're not any better than anybody else. It's just because we were given the title because we were on the national board. But we love to support. It's all about mentoring people, lifting people up, having the opportunity to, as she says, notify, or not notify, but recognize those ones that need our help. And they won't ask, but you're there to offer your support. You're not telling them what to do. All you're doing is getting behind them, giving them a little lift and say, you can do this. An ambassador is there to help your leagues. Sometimes they look at it as an ambassador, oh, you've been there, done that, so now come help us. Well, ambassadors can be your speakers, at your league meetings. But mainly is we're just really here to support, to lift up, to answer any questions about the association, because that's it. An ambassador for the association, not just for one group or another, but for the whole association. And that's what I love about it, and why I keep on being a part of it, is because I love to mentor, I love to support, and I love to lift up.
Of course, I could talk about being an ambassador for an hour at least, since I am chair-elect.
I'm not going to give you an hour, Charlotte.
Oh, that's okay, son of a gun. But it's simple. An ambassador for ABWA is a prominent representative of ABWA. That puts it into words. That's what we're there for. We represent this association. We're here to help the leagues. We're here to mentor the leagues. We're here to help as much as we possibly can. And I have to admit, until I got on the national board, I was clueless as to what an ambassador was. I had no idea. And when I got off the national board, Franny was on the steering committee, and I called her and I said, okay, what does the steering committee do? Because I had, even on the national board, I had no idea what the steering committee did. So she filled me in on the steering committee, and I thought, hey, that's something I can do, and I can help my chapters in my district and be on the committee and kind of be on the inside of what's going on in ABWA. So I joined the ambassadors because I was on the national board and became the co-rep with Debbie for District 2, and then became the rep. And now I'm chair-elect of the steering committee. And tell you the truth, I like to move up. I'm kind of funny that way. But I love being an ambassador. I love talking about ABWA, and I love being an ambassador because I want to show everybody what a fabulous organization this is. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about ABWA and to help our leagues. That's what an ambassador's for.
Well, this is a sisterhood. We are here to support our ABWA family and to live the mission, to bring together businesswomen of diverse occupations and to provide opportunities for them to help themselves and others grow personally and professionally through leadership, education, networking support, and national recognition. Woohoo! Doesn't that just give you a thrill? That mission statement was written how many years ago? And it's still going strong every day. So yes, an ambassador, we love each other. And every ambassador that's out there that has worked on a board will tell you that their board was the best board ever. So y'all go out there and continue to live the mission of the American Businesswomen's Association.
Thank you, Debbie, for reminding us of that mission as part of our role as ambassadors. And everyone's really right. They talked about the support and embodying what ABWA stands for and sharing and supporting the leagues. And as the District 2 Vice President, I rely on my ambassadors, and I would love to see even more ambassadors get involved in supporting our leagues through being part of my boots on the ground effort to help support leagues in their board inductions, to be speakers at their events, to be another sounding board, someone to help them problem solve or advise them, to help support them by attending their events. That's one of the funnest things about being an ambassador, is being able to attend events like the Dallas area celebration next weekend. I know we're going to have a bunch of ambassadors there. So those are all important roles for ambassadors. My next question, running for the National Board of Directors, you have to get the buy-in from your league. How does this benefit their league, and why would they want to support me?
Well,
Fran,
as
we're going to
far
start
as-
with you.
okay. So as far as how do we get their buy-in? I think they need, as you say, they need to see how it does benefit them. How it does benefit them is by the knowledge that we gain about as being on the board, the knowledge that you gain from being on the board, that you can take that back to your league and help them grow, because you hear other ideas from your other members of the board of how they grow their leagues, how they do fundraisers. And you can take this information back to your leagues, and they can see with the other ideas of how to make it better. By mentoring your league from being on the board just helps them see the bigger picture, actually. And like Kelly, you had said about, going to other events, and by being on the board or being to the being an ambassador, being on the board, supporting, we in Oklahoma support the events that go to Texas. And we try to take our leagues, our other members of our league with us, because so they can see how other leagues are run, how they do their benefits. Plus, just getting to know other members, ABWA members, helps them grow. It could help them both personally and professionally, because you don't know what business they're in, and they may have those connections across the country. So as far as, they just have to see that they have to participate. If they don't participate, they're not going to see what is going to benefit them at all. It takes more than one person. Just being on the board, you have to have the buy-in. If they don't buy into it, they're not going to see it. But I mean, sometimes that's where we struggle with my chapter about it, is because they don't totally see it, because we have we're getting new people. So it's just a learning process, and it's not going to happen overnight, but get them to be included in other events. Like this next weekend when we come to Dallas, we're going to try to bring people with us. So it's more about getting them involved to get the buy-in so they can see the bigger picture.
Well, stop and think, having a candidate, that's good publicity for your chapter. So that helps there. And when you bring when you've got a possible member that you bring, and you say, and by the way, we have so-and-so running for national office. That's impressive. Not only that, we all go through, all of the leagues, we're going through the same challenges. We feed off of each other. So when we have somebody running for office or somebody being in office, we would meet and feed off of each other, and that is passed down to your league. So you can only benefit from having a candidate or somebody on the national board. It's just a wonderful thing to say. Well, let's see, we've had so-and-so that was a District 2 vice president. We've had a national vice president. That looks good when you've got new members coming in. That's very impressive, let me tell you. When you stand up, when your members stand up and say, oh, I'm so-and-so and I am past such and such, past such and such, it sounds good. And I have watched the faces of some of the guests when somebody like Franny or myself and stand up and say, and we're past national district vice presidents or past national vice president, that there's a whole different look on their faces when they hear that. So it's good for the leagues to have a candidate or a board member.
All right, we are going to go. Thank you, Charlotte. We are a little bit over our time. So I'd like to get these last couple questions that people sent into our discussion. So we'll try to wrap up really quickly. If you have to drop off, you can always catch the replay. I'm just going to call on one of our panelists for each one of those questions. And then if someone has something they want to add, they will jump in as well, because I know everyone is dying to find out this information. The next question is going to go to Debbie. What's involved in campaigning?
Campaigning, the confidence in you to run. There's rules, the proud code of conduct for you and your members. You've got a campaign cap, you've got to travel, you've got to do your budget. You have to have people to travel with you, to support you, a solid team of campaigning people. So you need somebody to be your mentor, to somebody to push you, to someone to call you on the carpet to say, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. There is a lot of people on there. I had one person that was just in charge of thank you notes. Debbie, did you write your thank you notes? She wasn't writing them. She was making me accountable for what I needed to do. And so sometimes that's what you need. But what is involved in campaigning? You yourself, and the people that you bring. You are on a point from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed. You are the face of ABWA, and that's what we want to hear.
I love it, being the face of ABWA. And really, I found campaigning to be a way for me to just get out to the leagues and let them get to know me as a person and how I can support them in their leagues. The next question is for Laura, and this is a great question for you. Is there a lot of travel required?
So yes and no. And that's how I would answer that. Yes and no. So when you are running and you've made that decision to run, you get to decide how you want to run. And so if you are unable to travel, then you can say, I'm unable to travel. So start getting creative of how I could make this work. How can I connect with people? How can I be able to serve? You could look at that. When I ran, I had limited ability to be able to travel. And so I had to be really strategic about where I could go. I wanted to go everywhere, but I had to be super strategic about, okay, what's going to be the best route? So it goes back to that active listening and being open to being coachable and talking to everybody and saying, hey, this is what I need to focus on. So I wouldn't so much worry about all the things that are to come, because those are the things that you don't know. And I know that you're probably watching this trying to think about what to do, or maybe you're a league that's about ready to support and sponsor a candidate. And you're thinking, man, we're not even ready. We've already defined that you're not even ready. So just do it and then figure it out. That critical thinking, that problem solving is the skill you're going to learn in the journey. It's about connecting. It's about building relationships and being of service. How do you do that? If you have the wherewithal, and it works out that you figure all the ways for you to travel and be all the places that you would like to be and are able to be at, then great, go do that. But if you can't, then there's always another way to participate. Remember, this is the manifestation of the mission statement. And so you get to figure out what's the best way for you and for your league to move forward. So don't let all the things stop you. Just do it. Do it anyway.
I love that. Do it anyway. And you have to be creative, because if I spent time going to every league every month, I would never be at home. And so considering the costs involved in travel, certainly you hope that leagues will help defray some of those costs. I know I've had leagues that might volunteer to reimburse as a speaker for gas, or I've had leagues that you get to partner up and they'll host you in their home instead of spending time in a hotel. And so that's great, but you can be creative. Like Laura said, I do a lot of Zoom calls with my league leaders. I've done coffee meetups on Zoom. You don't actually physically have to be there to make an impact. I've done meeting presentations via Zoom as well. Fran, the next question is for you. How much time would you spend on the National Board of Directors doing the responsibilities? Because some people might say, I don't know if I have time for this. I want to do it, but I have a really busy job and I have a family. How much time should someone allocate to serving on the board?
Wow, Kelly, that's a great question. I think I have to fall back on what you and Laura have just said. You have to be creative because you can't be in all those places and you can't go to every meeting. But as far as, you want to make sure that you're there to be supportive. Sometimes, you could be busy every night of the week, pretty much, going to meetings or being on Zoom calls or whatever. And it does require a lot of time because you have, all the chapters or leagues within our district. However, being creative, using phone calls, your Zoom calls, it's kind of hard to say how much time you spend. It could be as little or as much as you can afford. I mean, people can be calling you all the time, but then you have to be selective. doesn't mean that not everybody's important, because they are, but sometimes emails can take up what you need, or a quick phone call or a text. But I would look at it that you want to be able to be available, but the leagues have to understand that you may have a job, you have other commitments, you have your family, but just be open, and you have to do what's right for you. I mean, just because you're on the national board doesn't mean the association has you by your chin, hair on your chin, you know, pulling you. You just have to be thoughtful of everybody, and be thoughtful of your family and your job, and somehow it just all works out. You know, it just works out, and you go forward, and you are helping, you're supporting, and you're number one, being creative on how you're doing it.
Thank you, Fran. Our district, District 2, is a huge district, and so visiting leagues can take up a lot of time. But like Fran said, you create the time and the space and work with the leagues, and you can spend as much time as you really want to spend on ABWA during your time on the national board, because there's certainly lots of things to do and lots of leagues to support. But you don't have to spend 24/7. It's not your full-time job. It's volunteer service, and it's supposed to be fun. The next question is for Charlotte. What do you wish you had known when you committed to run?
I have to think about that. I guess I wish I had known a little bit more, even though I had been a member of ABWA for a long time. When I decided to run, I don't think I knew enough about ABWA. I loved being a member. I was active in my league. But when I decided to run, I quickly got into the website and learned more about ABWA, because I have to admit, I was not that schooled on it, because I got into this association in 1994, and I did not go to my first conference until 10 years later. Because unfortunately, I had the attitude that, why would I go to a conference? What is that going to do for me? So even though I attended the meetings and everything, I did not know that much about ABWA that I should have known to run. So the first year I ran, I was kind of scared the whole time I was running, because I was afraid I was going to get asked a question that I couldn't answer. So I had to learn more about ABWA. So if you're going to run, make sure that you're schooled enough about the association to talk about it, because you're going to get asked questions. When the second year I ran, I was at a meeting speaking, and I literally got attacked verbally by a couple of members, and they were asking me questions that, thank the Lord, I had schooled myself on the inner workings of ABWA. I was able to answer it. It was almost like they were wanting to see if I knew what I was talking about, or if they thought I was schooled enough to be a district vice president. And I pulled it off. So I have to tell you, I wish that I had known more, but it didn't take me long to learn. So learn about the association and the inner workings of this association if you're going to run for office.
Thank you, Charlotte. Gosh, yes, I think it's important to know the inner workings of the association, have a good idea and understanding. And that's one of the reasons that we have the guideline to be a member for a certain number of years, and serving on your local league board and getting involved with area council or different special events is a great way to gain some experience and knowledge. But I can assure you, luckily I didn't get verbally attacked by anyone. I had the sweetest ABWA members, really and truly. Most of the leagues just want to get to know you as a person. They want to know and love you and support you. And that was my personal experience as I went to different leagues and visited. Hopefully you don't encounter anyone who's a naysayer, but some people want to know if they don't know you and you haven't been active and involved, they want to know if you have a good understanding of the association, because you are representing the entire association in this respect. So the next question is for Debbie. If you could talk through some objections for us that you might receive from your league and how to overcome them. Like, for example, they can't support you financially, so you're getting pushback, or they're a small league and your leadership is needed in the league. Can you do both? Can you be on the national board and be on your league board? How would you get their support if they're leery about being spread too thin financially or physically?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. It doesn't matter the size of your league. It could be a striving one, level one. Those questions are going to be asked for every single one of you. It is, why should we support you? Why should we take advantage? Why do you get to take this from the league? You're going to be gone half the time. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Recruit more members for your league, okay? Recruit. Being a part of the American Businesswomen's Association, being part of the national board means a lot. It means a lot to the person that wants to run, that wants to put her neck out there and make a difference in the world. But also it makes a difference to your league. It makes your league better. It makes your league work together for a better cause. Fundraising, you do that on a league level anyway. So, but now we have to be a little bit more creative so that we can raise the funds for her to go to the places to take care of that. And if we have extra funds left over, that money comes back to your league to be used for the next person going forward or the next person running for District 2 Vice President. We would like for each league to support our District 2 Vice Presidents running so that they can help on that. They're here for us anyway. Why not support them? I don't care if it's a $50 donation that you send to your DVP candidates. Every dollar helps. Yes, go out there and do more sponsorships. But the most important part is support the person that wants to run. Do not crush their dreams. Make it better for everyone involved. Being able to run, being able to have the support of your league and your members is a great support system, but it's also those ladies see something in you and they know that you can make it.
Thank you. I'm like touched by your words, Debbie, and the encouragement. That supportive environment is what we do as part of our tenets of ABWA. And I love that she said recruit more members, because this year our KRA, our focus, our key result area is membership. And part of that is recruiting new members, inviting and sharing about ABWA. Not only does this make your league smaller, but if you personally can recruit and invite people and people see you walking the talk, it will help strengthen your league, help strengthen the district, and ultimately help strengthen the association. And as part of your learning process, when you're serving on the national board, you're bringing value back to your league. Someone mentioned earlier about the prestige of having someone on the national board or a past national board of directors member in the league. That's great publicity and brings credence and credibility to your local league. So I'd encourage you to leverage that within your local league and the experience and the growth that they have in going through this process. As we get ready for getting ready for national board candidacy, I would encourage you, if you're still on the fence and you're like, I'm not sure, maybe this isn't my year, get out there, attend events outside your local league, go and travel to events. We have the Dallas area celebration. Houston Area Council has their recognition, Women Celebrating Women in June. August, is it August? Charlotte will be up in Oklahoma City for an event. Lots of different events that you can attend all over the district to get to know people, to show your support. Offer to be a speaker. Everyone has a skill set of something that they can offer, and maybe it's a little bit out of your comfort zone to speak in front of a group, but this is part of that learning, professional and personal development that you get through ABWA. Offer to speak to a league on your specialty, what you do in your business. Get involved, volunteer to be a chair for a leadership event or to help be on a committee for your area counselor. It's really important. Like Debbie says in the chat, it's your safe zone. This is where we can build you up and develop those skills to make you stronger as a leader in your occupation. Remember, if you're not wanting to serve on the National Board of Directors, there are other national leadership opportunities available. We talked a little bit about the ambassador program, and if you're been recognized as a top 10, you are eligible to be an ambassador, and we're counting on you to support our leagues and get involved and visit other leagues, offer to be a speaker, offer to be a mentor, reach out to local leagues that need your support and guidance and encouragement. I'm going to remind you that we have the ambassadors created that document on serving on the National Board of Directors. I shared that in the chat earlier, and I will add that to the District 2 Facebook page if it's not already there in the files. You can also find it on Community Connections, so make sure you look there as well. I did want to recognize, thank you to my panel, Francis, Debbie, Laura, and Charlotte. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your insight. But I also wanted to recognize Rochelle, and I know she has her camera off, but if she'd like to come on and say some closing words. She is our current National Board of Directors Vice President.
Good evening, Kella. Good evening, District 2. Absolutely amazing. I was just sharing in the chat, just how I love the questions, but even more, I enjoy the enthusiasm in your responses because it's a big step. Leadership is a big step. And I just say to everybody, remember your why. You invested in yourself for a reason here in ABWA to connect, learn, and grow, not just on a local level, but regionally and nationally. Kella has brought to you tonight 4 amazing women that's sharing their story for their journey in ABWA. But you know what? Everybody started enjoying the same way. We all had a why. And I heard different years, 21 years and 27 years, just different years. It could be your first year, your second year. But if you have the belief in ABWA, in the mission, I think Debbie said it. If you believe in the mission of ABWA, every single woman here tonight shared with you their belief in ABWA personally and professionally. I'd like to thank Kella for stepping up, Kella, for your district to believe in yourself, the mission of ABWA, and to every member of District 2 to serve. And that is it. You're serving, you're giving back, you're paying it forward. You're paying it forward for every woman that's locked arms with you to say, I'm here to assist and help you, and that you're not alone. Just know that in running for leadership in any position in ABWA, you are never, ever alone. We are all here with you. Thank you, Kella. Thank you to all the panelists, to the guests here this evening to support Kella in her mission. Kella, we're right here behind you. We're in front of you to lead you, beside you to hold your hand, and behind you to thrust you forward in your journey here in ABWA. And thank you to everyone that's continuing to support not only ABWA, but Kella, but keep showing up for yourself because you're definitely worth it.
Thank you again, everyone. please feel free to reach out to me via Facebook, text message, email, however you prefer. If you'd like to talk more about the process of running for a position on the National Board of Directors, or if you'd like to have more information about the ambassadors program, I can certainly connect. And Cindy Osmer, and of course our steering committee chair-elect Charlotte Osborne is always here to answer your questions as well. And I'm sure any of the panelists would love to connect with you further. So if you have additional questions, please reach out. We'd love to support you in your leadership journey, whether or not it takes you to the national board or not. It's not for everyone. Some of you may serve in other capacities, and we love you too. And we want to see you learn and grow and give you exposure to those experiences and opportunities that make you a stronger leader in person. Thank you very much and have a great night.